Henry VIII said to Anne Boleyn, "I won't keep you long." The joke always works. And it's funny because there's always a bit of a pause. Try to remember which one. A friend commented recently about her retired father that he spends much of his time, you might say, scowling and scrolling. Right? So you know that move? You take your phone and you get on social media and you. What's for dinner? Now, why are you scrolling and why are you scowling? You're scrolling because that's what the black glass, the phone or the iPad or whatever the screen wants you to do. And you're scowling because it also wants you to scowl. Because the more scowly you are, the more likely you'll keep watching. A popular Netflix show called Black Mirror, not for the faint of heart, be very clear, explores, sort of like the Twilight Zone type show, our relationship to technology. The Black Mirror is that piece of glass that strangely reflects ourselves, shows us our worst selves to ourselves, kind of negative mirror. And this black mirror of technology is this ability to control, bully, envy, judge. What is Instagram but a huge pile of envy? When people are on vacation, they don't show you the bad pictures. And in a weird way, you can't. How do you photograph frustration? It's much better. You'd have to take a picture, make a movie of me doing this when you got 10 people in Calabash waiting forever for food that's kind of somewhere else. But anyway, how do you photograph frustration? So we don't. You show the pretty pictures, the smile and family. Now, for 18 hours of that day, you may have been screaming at each other. But by golly, on Instagram, you just feel that envy. Wow, look at that. They got to go there. Isn't that marvelous? This attention grab that is part of our lesser selves and part of these devices and this world we live in. Some people have been writing about these devices. There's a book called The Want Makers, or the attention merchants, but it describes the want makers. The attention merchants would be Facebook and Google and Apple to some degree, right? They want our attention, and they will pay for that. And they make us want to look and keep looking. We can buy a car while we binge watch Netflix, or the Tesla, so you get the blue, right? You can order a car over the internet, right? And just go pick it up. Suddenly, so much of our lives have been consumed with this entertainment and advertising. Now, the weird bit is we hope for so much more from technology. If you remember the internet started, it was actually pretty useful. You could search things and find things. Now when you search things, it's almost all ads. And of course, technology connects people. When I was little, I wanted to play D&D, but what about the countries? Me and my brother, you know how many people it takes to play D&D? 3. So we didn't get to play. But now they got apps for that. We can play online. I love that as a kid. Getting to play and meet people. Be in these groups on Reddit and Yahoo groups, I guess that's still around, ways to meet people that have similar interests. How wonderful is that? For people with fear of leaving their house, mental illness, agoraphobia, internet's wonderful. They can connect without having to leave. Or if you're autistic, you're able to communicate and connect in ways that being around people may be more challenging. Of course, we don't get lost as much with the maps that are in our pockets. So this is the wonder and the promise of the internet. But then there's this dark side that seems to be grabbing on. The Gospels and the New Testament all attest to Jesus' temptation. There's a bit of wiggle room. Two of the Gospels don't mention what the temptations were. The other two mention the three, but they switch the order. So given that, I think we could sort of add this fourth temptation, which is the self. T.S. Eliot wrote about Thomas à Becket's play Murder in the Cathedral. He featured 4 temptations as well. Not the band, temptations, but this idea of 3 temptations and then a temptation to be famous, to be a martyr so you would be famous. So building on T.S. Eliot, I'm going to throw in the cell phone to think about this as a 4th or 5th thing of temptation. Jesus' temptations were about bread and protection and prestige, according to Diogenes Allen. He was tempted to live by bread alone. He was tempted to live a life without suffering, so he threw himself off the temple. And he was also tempted to live in a world of prestige and power, which would be worshiping the devil. Now, Allen's argument, Diogenes Allen, is these temptations are in some ways unique to Jesus, because they are, if you are the Son of God, if you are the Messiah, do this. So in some ways, they're unique to him. What sort of Messiah will Jesus be? Will he be a Messiah that doesn't suffer? Well, we know from the cross that's not true. But even here, he's not going to throw himself in the temple at night. Will he be a Messiah that doesn't know hunger or fear or need? No, because he refuses to turn the stones to bread. Will he be a Messiah that is powerful and loved and famous? No, he turns his back on that because he doesn't worship the devil and he does not have titles or importance. Part of the issue for Jesus is he's sort of a no-one. Who cares if you kill a no-one? Few people do. So these temptations in some ways key into Jesus. But in other ways, these are temptations we all do. That we would like to be important and valued and respected. That we would like to not suffer pain. That we would like to fill ourselves with the things of this world. These are actually not bad things. Food is great. Respect is great. Being without pain is great. The temptation isn't what's bad. It's that the temptation twists us to go in wrong ways. I think we can use that sort of approach with cell phone or money and other things. Money isn't bad. The cell phone isn't bad. But if you eat out every night and you can't pay your bills, something's wrong. If you eat out every night and you never help the hungry, something's gone wrong. If you think that you're not supposed to suffer, then something's gone wrong. The temptations tempt us to go wrong, to make the wrong turn. Technology does the same thing. It tempts us to make a wrong turn. Instead of being glad that someone had a nice vacation, I think, I wonder about that. And it's hard. How do you celebrate things with people without coveting? One answer would be just to not look so much. Another would be to see that as a temptation that enables you to grow. It's not really about them with the photo. It's about the life you want. And if you could accept the fact that, you know what, it's not going to go to Disney World anytime soon, maybe you can be happy for someone's trip. Or happy that they live in the right zip code, or they have 4 kids, whatever. And all the things that torment us. And in a weird way, the cell phone is just like a great magnifying glass. you're the ant. It was a mean thing to do. It was interesting as a kid. Right. The virtual world tempts us to live in new ways that we can't possibly live, to live by devices alone. And in many ways, these are old temptations, just in new form. To covet, to desire, to be famous, to live a world of prestige, to be respected. I'm old enough to know that unsolicited advice is never welcome, but I am in a pulpit, so what should you do? In some ways, this is a sermon about awareness. Does your cell phone line up with who you are? People do that with your checking account, too. If I looked at your checking account, how you spend your credit card statements, I'm way too busy. But if I wanted to, does that line up with the person you are? Because money just indexes your soul. And the person you are and the kind of things you spend money on. It's not good or bad, it's just an index. And so does the cell phone. If you can't leave the house without your cell phone for fear of something going wrong, you may be in that position. Many people have. My mother-in-law is like that. We went 70 years with I don't say that. You may know her. Actually, she would just roll eyes. But, right, she's got to have that. So what's that about? Or if you're afraid you're going to miss out. Or if you go somewhere with people and the whole time you're there, you're on your phone talking to other people. Which I know someone else does that. Why are you there? You can stay at home. Have a grilled cheese sandwich and save money, right? This index, what does it say about you? Does it tempt you to live a world that you don't have or you wish you had? Or does it tempt to pull you away from the world, from the life and the world that you do have? Is it tempting and addicting us to be something that we really shouldn't be? If in order to get the perfect photo of your child, you spend a lot of time trying to get things lined up. Camera Nazi. Got to get it lined up. But you don't play with your child. What does that do? What does that say? It's not wrong to take a photo of your child. And you don't play with your children all the time. But when it gets wrong, when it goes off, what does that tell us about ourselves? When I was outside the yard the other day, melting, the natural world is interesting because it doesn't care about us. The birds, the bees, the moon, it doesn't care anything about us. In some ways, that's very cold and mean. Why don't you care? But in other ways, I thought it's very refreshing because the butterfly just goes along and I can look at it or not. It makes no demands. But the cell phone makes demands. Notifications blinking, right? Look. And there goes that happy old sun. I think that's partly why people love to be around nature. You can see things that don't need you. And that's wonderfully restorative. Because to enjoy without being needed is a real gift. Ancient philosophers, Lucretius and Seneca, romantic poets like Wordsworth were fascinated by nature. In part for this very reason, that it gives so much and asks so little. Reverend Fred Rogers, Presbyterian, was famous for being Mr. Rogers on TV. But everyone who knew him said, well, it's an act. You've seen the documentaries? So great, right? Everyone who knew him says, it wasn't an act. That was really how that guy was. He was like that. He listened with the piercing ability that made people uncomfortable, and yet wonderfully affirmed. He said a child's feelings are just as real and legitimate as his. It seems so obvious. But when you watch how people can belittle children, you realize how hard a thing it is to believe. It's so easy to say, oh, just wait till you're old. the minute the child hears that, they're not hearing it. Fred Rogers thought God was exactly the kind of God who honored and loved people, especially those on the margins. God doesn't click like on your social media posts. God loves you not when you have the perfect vacation, but when you have the bad vacation. God loves you not just when you won that award, but when you failed. God loves you in despair and loss and sin. So if we could see the Instagram for God, it would be a very different thing. For Fred Rogers, God says, I like you just the way you are. Mr. Rogers said that we don't get where we are on our own because we owe an immense debt to God and the world. That people have cared for us, loved us, and smiled us into being. We don't get here without receiving things, and thus we really don't get to leave until we pay that back, until those debts are given, until we share what we have been given with others, because it is not ours. What would Fred Rogers say? I think he would love the way that we are connected by these devices. But for a man who listened and cared and always made time, he could see that as quite disastrous. Because to pay attention when people are so lonely is a great gift. It was the gift that Fred Rogers always shared. It was the gift that our cell phones kind of did do. Call my mother today for her birthday. That's pretty great. But I need to also give her the attention and the face that she deserves. As we go through the summer doldrums,